If you haven't figured it out yet, the rule in Special Olympics is never follow a Special Olympics athlete. So I am in the unenviable position of following Anu and Lauren, athletes, both of whom I call friends. Michael, you're up. You're going to be up at the end, buddy. So, look, I appreciate everybody being here this evening. I just want to give you a little bit of background. I want to thank a few people, and then I'm going to introduce another athlete. We've got two more athlete stories, so I appreciate you guys getting locked in on our athletes. That's kind of why they put me in the middle. So Special Olympics holds a unique place in the history. Maryland holds a unique place in the history of Special Olympics. Our founder, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, back in 1962, hosted camps for people with intellectual disabilities in her backyard, and that proved to be the catalyst for the first ever Special Olympics Games that were held in 1968 in Chicago. Here in Maryland, the first games were actually held in 1969, and then we were incorporated in 1970. So we're in this kind of 50-year realm of celebration. And over the next 12 months, we're going to celebrate 50 years in a very meaningful way. We're going to start a Special Olympics Maryland Foundation as a means of providing a vehicle for people to give legacy gifts. And we're going to create an environment and do this in a way that really is a pivot point and serves as a revolution and a catalyst for creating a society where interactive inclusion becomes the expected behavior. As part of tonight's launch, I'm humbled. Thank you. When we talk about a pivot point, we always have to remember from where we came, and I'm humbled this evening and graced by the presence of our founders. I'd like to acknowledge Ed Mitchell, Tom Karski, and John Wrigley. Could you gentlemen please stand up? Yeah, big round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen, and their families for the vision and leadership that has influenced thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives here in Maryland. Maryland is better because of you. Thank you so much. I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge an athlete who competed in those first games. Elmer Euler, could you please stand up? Nice job. Elmer, thank you for paving the way for all of our athletes that are here this evening. Way to go, man. Elmer's favorite sport is basketball. I also want to thank, look, we know that for these events to occur, it takes great partners, and I just want to acknowledge a couple. Dan Jarris, President and General Manager from WBAL TV, unbelievable partner. Tanya Axenson, Global Head of Allegis for HR, thank you so much for your support, appreciate it. Aerotech has been a longtime supporter of Special Olympics Maryland. If you get a chance to come out to softball this weekend, our athletes will be playing at Aerotech Park thanks to the support from Aerotech, so thank you so much. Brian Pennick is the CEO at Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield. Brian, thank you for your support. Brian is a member of our board of directors. And John McCullough from Sylvan Learning. John is also a parent of a Special Olympics Maryland athlete. He'll be out in force as a fan this weekend, so thank you very much for your support. And you got a taste of law enforcement, but I really want to give a shout out to those guys. Since 1986, Jerry talked about in 2018, $3.3 million. Since 1986, law enforcement has raised over $47 million to support Special Olympics Maryland here, athletes here in Maryland. And it takes a lot of organization. We have an executive council that is led by a director. We've got 4 directors that are here with us this evening. John Noonan, Danielle Bradshaw Lee, if you guys could just please stand. Frank Toohey, and we also have the chief of the Bowie Police Department, who is a member of our board of directors. Thank you all for your leadership in law enforcement and giving our athletes the opportunity. We depend so much on volunteers. We have a staff of 34 people And I am so proud to work with those guys. You've seen them walking around here hustling this evening, so I appreciate them. But we also work with over 6,300 volunteers. You heard Jerry's story about Mac McGee. Mac is on our board of directors, and he has really spearheaded this evening. So Mac, I want to thank you for what you've done. And then, of course, there's the athletes. All you athletes in red, could you guys stand up, please? Now, there's a common thread among all these athletes. They have great family support. Family members, could you please stand up? Robin, go ahead. You can stand up, Robin. Thank you. And I'd like to point out, Robin, there's a great connection here with Aerotech. Robin, how many years has it been that you've worked at Aerotech? Since 2005, Aerotech has had Robin as part of their honorary captain and the athlete that leads and really inspires them. So thank you, athletes and families, for everything that you do. You can sit down, man. But I'll tell you what, Chad, why don't you make your way over here, because you're up next, buddy. All right. So you've heard from Lori and Anu. Every athlete has a unique story that's worth telling. You also heard Jerry talk about our vision, 20,000 athletes by 2025. We have 8,033 athletes, children and adults with intellectual disabilities, their families and communities. They participate in our sports programs. They participate through meaningful sports experience. They experience leadership through our athlete leadership program. We have interactive, inclusive communities of dignity and respect that are created through our athletes and their interaction with our volunteers, as well as other individuals with whom they compete. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Our current $7 million budget allows those athletes to participate free of charge. And your support here this evening is going to help us to continue to grow. So I want to thank you for that. Our pursuit is really driven by a simple desire to leverage sport to transform lives, creating more of these interactive, inclusive communities across the state. We've been successful over the last 10 years working with 24 of 24 school districts to implement a program called Interscholastic Unified Sports. This program combines Special Olympics athletes with their non-Special Olympics peer students in schools. We have 5 different sports in 3 seasons, and they participate in varsity-like sports experience. The program has grown to include 127 schools and over 3,000 student athletes across the state. So, we see the value and the opportunity to grow that similar program into our middle schools and elementary schools. We think 80% of our growth to get us to 20,000 will come through our partnerships with schools. I want you to think about that. Through organized, scholastic, unified sports programs, we are inspiring and growing a generation that will live the most interactive, inclusive lives in history. That's the revolution. That's the future. And we know from our experience, that from 50 years of experience, that extends beyond the field of play. We love sport, we use sport. We want our athletes to run faster, jump higher, make more goals on the soccer field, score more baskets. But it's about way more than that. You heard Jerry talk about the true sports. Our athletes transform the lives. As much as we do this for our athletes, they have the transformative powers to transform our lives, and that's what they do. By your presence here tonight, you are now part of our Special Olympics Maryland family, and I am grateful for that. Through sport, you are helping to revolutionize the world where opportunity is not limited by disability. And inclusive interaction will be expected. It will be the new normal. I realize this evening makes for a very long day, and you guys could be other places. But you're here, and we are absolutely grateful for that. We have two more inspiring athlete stories to share with you, both of which are very compelling. So I want to thank you for your commitment to really zoning in on them and listening carefully to what they have to say. And with that, it gives me great pleasure. Chad, you want to come on up here? It gives me great pleasure to welcome Chad Edwards to the stage.